Hello there, you're watching All 24 News World News Program, and these are tonight's top stories. The Zionist entity escalates its aggression, defying the truce. UN figures reveal over 12,000 Palestinian women have been killed since the onslaught began. Coming up next as well, host quake survivors endure dire conditions as reports of child abuse surge. Meanwhile, public outrage mounts over Royal Associates Foundation accused of backing genocide. Also coming up, with Dakar pushing French forces out, Paris finds itself increasingly cornered, now restricted to the Sahel region. And later on, Moscow claims territorial gains as Ukraine signals openness to talks. Meanwhile, Europe blames Putin for stalling peace efforts. This and more shortly. Welcome back to the details. We begin with the latest developments on the Palestinian file. Gaza's Ministry of Health has reported that the arrival of 6 martyrs and 8 wounded at hospitals across the Strip, alongside the retrieval of another martyr's body within the past 48 hours. In an official statement on Telegram, the ministry confirmed that the death toll from the Zionist aggression has now soared to 48,453 martyrs, with 111,860 individuals injured since the onslaught began on October 7, 2023. Meanwhile, Palestinian media sources have documented further atrocities in Rafah, southern Gaza, where 3 Palestinians fell to the relentless bombardment of the Zionist entity. Reports indicate that a drone strike east of Rafah claimed the lives of 2 Palestinians and left several others injured, while another Palestinian was martyred by the occupation forces' gunfire in the Tanur neighborhood. In another development, the United Nations Human Rights Office has sounded the alarm, revealing that 58 Palestinians, including 10 children, have been killed in Gaza since the so-called ceasefire took effect. In a statement published on its official website Saturday, the UN reaffirmed that targeting civilians, whether through bombing, starvation, or the obstruction of humanitarian aid, constitutes a war crime that demands immediate accountability.
Targeting Palestinian civilians is a war crime punishable under international law, and it constitutes a clear violation of all international conventions related to human rights. Additionally, using hunger and starvation as a weapon of war and preventing the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip for the 6th consecutive day constitute collective punishment, which is unacceptable and can only be regarded as another war crime under international law. Those responsible must be held accountable.
For the 7th consecutive day, the Zionist occupation persists in blocking humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, plunging the besieged Strip into an ever-deepening humanitarian crisis as Ramadan begins. The Palestinian Information Center warns of an imminent famine, citing the occupation's unyielding closure of crossings. Meanwhile, Hamas calls for urgent international intervention, condemning this war of starvation and its impact on Palestinian prisoners. In a statement Saturday, Hamas demanded an accountability for Netanyahu and his government, denouncing their action as crimes against humanity and the deliberate collective punishment of over 2 million Palestinians, a war crime that must not go unchallenged.
Essential nutrients for children, such as natural and powdered milk, are running out, and I don't know where to find more. We are facing 2 crises. Along with the ongoing siege, war and destruction, there is also a severe shortage of food and clean water. The border crossings are now closed again, and I have no idea what else we can do.
طب وين نروح؟
فضلا عن تأثيرات ذلك على المنظومة.
The closure of the border crossings is also severely impacting the health system, making it impossible for us to provide medicines and medical supplies to the wounded and sick, particularly those with chronic conditions. We can't even provide meals for hospitalized patients. Furthermore, the supply system for our city has been significantly disrupted, as the pumping wells for domestic water and the desalination plants for public facilities rely on fuel from outside sources.
للاستهلاك المنزلي والتي بالتأكيد لن تستطيع مع عدم إدخال الوقود.
Amid rising tensions, Houthi leader Abdel Malik al-Houthi has issued a 4-day ultimatum to the Zionist occupation, demanding the immediate opening of Gaza's crossings to allow humanitarian aid. In a Friday speech, he warned that failure to comply would promote the resumption of naval operations targeting Zionist interests, stressing that his movement would not be placated by rhetoric alone.
نعلن للعالم أجمع أننا سنعطي مهلة 4 أيام.
We declare to the whole world that we will give a 4-day ultimatum. This ultimatum period for the mediators in their efforts. If the Israeli enemy continues after the 4 days to prevent the entry of aid into the Gaza Strip and continues the complete closure of crossings and the prevention of the entry of food and medicine into the Gaza Strip, then we will return to resuming our naval operations against the Israeli enemy.
لاستئناف عملياتنا البحرية ضد العدو الإسرائيلي.
After 15 months of relentless genocide, Gaza's residents continue to endure the unthinkable, striving to rebuild life from the ruins. Yet, Ramadan has become a beacon of unity, resilience, and faith. Now let us step into the heart of this defiance and devotion, where worshippers gather daily to pray in the remnants of Imam Shafi'i's mosque. Salman Asseb brings us this story.
In the ruins of Imam Shafi'i Mosque in Gaza, Palestinians gathered for the first group prayers of Ramadan, despite the devastation caused by Zionist bombings. Fadi Rafati, one of the worshippers, expressed mixed emotions.
I'm happy to be back at the mosque, but right now they're in ruins and not fit for prayer. As you can see, the missile and shell strikes have left clear destruction, and with the rain coming down, people are getting soaked.
Despite the harsh weather and damaged conditions, the faithful stood their ground, determined to pray together. Mohammed al-Zayd, who is moved by the resilience of the worshippers.
I was amazed by how many worshippers showed up. The mosque was packed to the brim, even with the rain pouring down and the tough conditions.
While last Ramadan was marked by war, this year a fragile ceasefire since mid-January hangs by a thread. The situation remains dire. On Sunday, the Zionist entity blocked all humanitarian aid, cutting off food, fuel and medicine for 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. Human rights groups and the international community have condemned this as a starvation tactic, warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis.
On International Women's Day, Gaza's government media office unveiled disturbing statistics on the Zionist occupation's war of extermination, revealing that 12,316 Palestinian women have been murdered. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority of Prisoners Affairs confirms that 21 Palestinian women remain in Zionist prisons, enduring systematic abuse. Hamas calls this movement, or this moment, an opportunity to expose Zionist crimes, declaring that the martyrdom of over 12,000 Palestinian women is a stain of shame on humanity's conscience. At a UN event marking the International Women's Day, Secretary General Antonio Guterres sounded the alarm on the growing threats to women's rights, warning that humanity is witnessing a reversal of hard-won progress from past generations.
Every 10 minutes, a woman is killed by her partner or a family member. 612 million women and girls live under the shadow of armed conflicts, where their rights are too often considered expendable. Less than 2/3 of women worldwide participate in the labor market, and those who do earn far less than men. At this pace, eradicating extreme poverty for women and girls will take 130 years. And as we see in every corner of the world, from pushback to rollback, women's rights are under attack.
In another topical development, Algerian Secretary of State to the Foreign Minister for the Community Abroad, Sofiane Shaib, has called for a unified Islamic stance, rejecting all attempts to displace the Palestinian people, urging strong international support to ensure their permanence on their land. Speaking at the extraordinary session of the OIC Foreign Ministers' Council in Saudi Arabia, Shaib reaffirmed Algeria's unwavering commitment to defending Palestine, highlighting its diplomatic efforts, particularly as a UN Security Council member. In its final statement, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation underscored the importance of Algeria's role, urging member states to back its diplomatic initiatives in support of Palestine and broader Islamic causes.
The Council of Foreign Ministers of the Member States of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, meeting in its 20th extraordinary session to discuss the ongoing Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people and attempts to displace them from their land, supports the tangible and appreciated efforts of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria within the framework of its non-permanent membership to the UN Security Council in favor of Islamic causes in general and the Palestinian cause in particular.
Still with the Middle East, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, has officially reinstated Syria's membership, ending a 13-year suspension. The announcement came via social media on the eve of the extraordinary foreign ministers' session in Saudi Arabia. Meeting participants urged the OIC Secretary General to take necessary steps to implement the decision and report on progress at the next session. Algeria, on the other hand, welcomed Syria's return, with Secretary of State Sofiane Shaib emphasizing the need for unity to strengthen the OIC's global role. To Lebanon now, a Zionist drone violated Lebanese airspace, flying low over several towns in Nabatia, Arab Salim, Kfar Juz, and Jabal al-Rayhan, according to the Lebanese news agency. This comes amid intensified Zionist aggression with over 20 airstrikes targeting valleys and town outskirts in Tyre, Nabatia, Sidon, and Jazin on Friday night. While details on casualties remain unconfirmed, the escalation marks a widening of hostilities in southern Lebanon. In Egypt, the seventh day of Ramadan carries deep spiritual significance, especially at Al-Azhar Mosque. The Shia Muslims from diverse backgrounds gathered in its historic courtyard in Cairo, uniting in prayer and breaking their fast in a profound display of faith. The occasion also marked the 1085th anniversary of this revered institution. Zahra Farjani has more on this story.
For over 1,000 years, Egypt's Al-Azhar Mosque has stood as a beacon of knowledge and spirituality. This year, it celebrates its 1085th anniversary with a giant iftar, bringing together thousands under its historic roof.
اليوم بمشيئة الله تعالى احتفلنا من رحاب الجامع الأزهر الشريف.
Today, thanks to God, we celebrate Al-Azhar's 1085th anniversary with students from nearly 130 nationalities.
From early afternoon, volunteers prepared the mosque's courtyard for the massive meal, welcoming students and worshippers from across the globe. As the Maghrib prayer approached, the courtyard was packed to capacity.
We began Ramadan's first iftar with 3,000 students. Today, we are hosting 5,500 from different nationalities.
Al-Azhar, one of the world's most prestigious Islamic institutions, hosts over 60,000 students from more than 120 countries every year.
The atmosphere is wonderful. Al-Azhar has honored us with a great meal, spreading a message of unity and compassion.
I come for iftar at least 4 times a week, but today was truly special. So many people coming together.
This celebration is more than a tribute to Al-Azhar's past. It is a living testament to its mission of peace, unity, and knowledge, resonating far beyond its walls.
Moving on to Morocco now. Moroccan anti-normalization organizations have condemned Faisal Merjani smears, a Moroccan citizen knighted in 2014 on Throne Day for launching the Emirate of the Faithful Foundation in the Zionist entity. According to the Moroccan Observatory, smears announced the foundation on March 4 from a settlement in Gaza, openly expressing support for the Zionist occupation, a move that has ignited backlash across Moroccan civil society. In southwestern Morocco, the plight of Al-Hawz earthquake victims has deepened with the onset of Ramadan as they battled harsh weather conditions and a shortage of humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, survivors remain in limbo, still waiting for the Makhzen authorities to deliver on promises of rehousing and reconstruction.
I cook what God has written for us, sometimes legumes like barley and rice, sometimes bread. Each day brings its own provision. I pray that God grants me shelter, land, or wherever He wills.
This is what God has given us. We eat a little of the sour soup and a little tea. Our condition is like that of the house, as you can see.
Moroccan authorities have launched investigations into 55 cases of child rights violations linked to the Hawz earthquake, including sexual harassment of girls and forced child labor. A Legal Bodies 2023 report revealed that 53 cases surfaced through social media or online complaints, highlighting growing concerns over the vulnerability of displaced children. To neighboring Libya now, the UN mission in the country has underscored the urgency of unifying national institutions by bolstering local governance. In a meeting with Libya's local government minister, Badruddin Toumi, UN Special Representative Hannah Tete addressed decentralization challenges and stressed the importance of democratic governance to guarantee equitable access to public services for all Libyans. Elsewhere in Africa, Senegal has become the latest African nation to expel French troops, further shrinking France's military footprint in the Sahel. The decision follows growing public frustration over Paris's failure to deliver stability as armed conflicts and insurgencies persist across the region. To another topical story, Russia's defense ministry has announced the capture of several towns in the Kursk region, including Viktorovka, Nikolaevka, Astraya, Soroshchina. Meanwhile, Ukraine's interior ministry reported a deadly Russian missile barrage on Dobrobelia in the east, killing at least 11 people and injuring 30 others. The attack, using ballistic missiles, rockets, and drones, caused widespread destruction to infrastructure and buildings. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has renewed his appeal for an air and sea ceasefire following heavy Russian attacks on energy infrastructure. In a post on X platform, he emphasized that halting Russia's strikes is the first step toward achieving real peace. Meanwhile, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of disregarding peace efforts in Ukraine. In a post on X platform, she urged stronger European military support for Kiev, arguing that it is crucial to saving Ukrainian lives following the latest deadly Russian strikes in the east. Shifting focus to another global story, tensions between the US and Canada have flared once again as President Donald Trump reverses course just a day after granting a tariff reprieve. His latest move, steep new duties on Canadian lumber and dairy, has sparked a wave of backlash, fueling economic uncertainty and a surge in nationalist consumer sentiment north of the border. Sofian Kanturi reports.
Just a day after granting Canada a one-month tariff grace period, US President Donald Trump imposed new tariffs on Canadian lumber and dairy products, including a 250% reciprocal tariff on dairy, sparking swift backlash from Canadians. In Chesterville, Ontario, a store is phasing out American-made products, covering shelves with 20,000 proudly Canadian stickers in protest.
The reality of the 30-day reprieve on the tariffs, it let us diversify, so we're less reliant on the American product.
John Ostris, a travel company owner in Canada, reports plummeting bookings to the US, driven by both a weaker Canadian dollar and tariff backlash.
Many of the responses are, I don't want to travel to the United States. I don't want to give them my business. I don't want to spend my money there. Or if we had any bookings, since they made them a year ago, they've actually canceled them. I can't even explain the difference. In all the years that I've worked, it's a shocking difference of just non-travel to the US.
Business leaders predict Buy Canadian will outlast the tariff dispute, reshaping local trade for years to come. Meanwhile, Canada's federal government announced economic measures to protect businesses and workers from the effects of tariffs imposed by the US.
We must continue to work to mitigate these unjustified tariffs from the United States. Our government is ready to support Canadian businesses. So today, I'm very pleased to announce that we are launching a new trade impact program through Export Development Canada.
On Thursday, Trump had briefly postponed 25% tariffs on many Canadian and Mexican products, but Friday's tariff escalation has reignited trade war fears.
Similarly, US President Donald Trump lashed out at Canada's tariffs on American agricultural exports, branding them a scam that harms US farmers. In a post on Truth Social, he accused Ottawa of unfair trade practices, claiming that Canada unfairly shields its domestic producers while restricting market access for American goods. And now Yassine Rikti brings you the latest news in brief.
Sudanese Defense Minister Yassine Ibrahim confirmed the army's significant progress in its fight against the Rapid Support Forces, with results expected soon to restore stability. He called the conflict an externally planned existential war. On the ground, the army controls most of Khartoum, while fierce battles continue around the presidential palace and airport, still held by the RSF. Meanwhile, the army carried out a successful operation in North Darfur, causing heavy RSF losses. South Korea's prosecutors released ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol the day after the Central Court annulled the arrest warrant against him. According to Yonhap News Agency, the decision came after prosecutors chose not to appeal the court's order for his release, following his request to cancel his detention related to the martial law case. Beijing has decided to impose tariffs on Canadian imports in response to what it calls discriminatory measures by Ottawa. A statement from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce explained that the decision was based on the country's foreign trade and customs duties law, urging Canada to reverse what it described as restrictive measures. Guinea-Bissau President Umaro Sissoko Embalo has decided to bring forward the date of the general presidential and legislative elections to November 23rd this year, instead of the previously scheduled date of November 30th. This decision follows the arrival of a mission from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel in Guinea-Bissau.
And that brings us to the end of our news program for tonight. For more updates, you can always check our social media platforms. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.